Hi guys! They say beauty is only skin deep.
But in the shadows, the truth is often much sharper.
Welcome to Velvet Violence,
The podcast where we pull back the curtains of the most polished crimes to find the jagged edges underneath.
We are your hosts. I'm Diliana.
And I'm Marta, and tonight we're exploring the points where elegance meets its end.
Grab a drink, settle in, and let's peel back the layers of a crime that was as calculated as it was cruel. Let's make one thing clear before we step into the darkness. We're not detectives or lawyers. We don't solve crimes. We just emotionally process them with a microphone. This podcast is a retelling of real events using publicly available sources and wrapping them in our own narrative style. It's a commentary, not a courtroom. So please, don't come after us. We've seen enough true crime to know that never ends well. The summer of 2012 was supposed to be a season of celebration in London. The Olympic flame was burning, the streets were alive, and the sun was out. But in the quiet suburb of New Malden, a different kind of fire were consuming a community. It started with a single photograph of a 12-year-old girl with a bright smile and glasses, Tia Sharp. What followed was an agonizing 12-day search that gripped the nation, only to end in discovery that the most dangerous monsters aren't under the bed. Sometimes they sit right there on the dinner table. This is a story of a betrayal that defied belief. So today's case was actually recommended from one of our viewers, so shout out to Michelle. It is very sad case and very disturbing. It's just when I get into it, guys, you will see how it's actually a betrayal so big that you can't comprehend in your head that someone is capable of this. On August 3rd in 2012, 12 years old Tia Sharp was reported missing from her grandmother's home in New Addington, South London. On Thursday, 2nd of August, Tia specifically asked her mother, Natalie, if she could stay in her grandmother's house. Her grandmother's name was Christine, and Tia loved to spend time in her house. The reason it took so long for people to realize something went wrong on that Friday, August the 3rd, was because of the errand that Stuart Hazel, the 37-year-old boyfriend of Tia's grandmother, told police that Tia left the house that morning to go to the shopping center in Croydon, London to buy some shoes. Because it was a routine trip for a girl her age to do in the summer holidays, no one questioned her absence until she failed to return home that evening. For Tia, her grandmother's house was a second home. The fact that she was staying there regularly was a sign of a healthy family bond. This is why this case was so shocking to the public. She wasn't just snatched from the street by a stranger. She was in a place that she should have been the safest. Having specifically asked to stay there and spend time with the man who eventually would take her life. She didn't just end up there by a chance. She sought that house because she loved being there. On August the 10th, Tia's body was found wrapped up in a black bedsheet, in a black bag, in the loft of her grandmother's house. After the police visited the home for fourth time, police launched a search for Stuart Hazel, and they arrested him on suspicion of murder that evening.
When Michelle told me about this case, I was very interested because I knew it's gonna be up your street. So let's start from beginning. Tell me about Tia.
So Tia Sharp was born on June 30th in 2000 in Croydon, South London, to her mom Natalie. Her mom, her grandmother Christine, and Tia, they were inseparable. Tia was described as a smart and outgoing child. She could make friends super easy, like since she was a toddler. And after that, she went to school, and that was the happiest years of her life. Obviously, at school, you meet a lot of kids, you make a lot of friends, and that was just perfect for Tia because she had that personality. She was feisty. She always was speaking her mind, and that's the type of child she was, I guess. She had very good grades at school, and her teachers described her as a joy being in a classroom.
Oh, that's sweet.
It is very sweet. Her attendance was a bit problematic though, because from what I've read, the child services were called because of her mom and her boyfriend marijuana usage. There was nothing more said about this, pretty much, but there was no report of Tia being neglected or anything like that. She had a happy childhood.
So what you told me, she didn't have an abusive childhood. The parents loved her, especially she loved spending time with the grandma. Tell me a bit more about grandma and this fucker Stuart, please.
So yeah, everybody loved Tia. So her mom, her grandmother, and even her grandmother's boyfriend, Stuart. Her grandmother, Christine, met Stuart in 2002. I guess she was working in some kind of pub. So that's where they met.
Right.
And they started dating later on, like in 2007. So they didn't start that relationship straight away. I guess they were meeting there, they were chatting to each other. He was a drinker, so I guess that's where you find people like that, in the pub.
Yeah.
So they met, they hit it off, and she really liked Stuart. He was very polite, very kind to her, and there was no issues whatsoever. Christine knew that he was a drinker and drug user, but that I guess didn't bother her because he never showed this in a bad way. He wasn't abusive or anything like this. He was a nice guy to her, and that's how she saw him. For her to introduce him to her granddaughter, I guess just shows how much she trusted him.
Yeah, definitely.
So Stuart Hazel had a very difficult past though. His dad was being in and out of prison. I don't have much information, but I just know that he was in prison. His mom was a prostitute. He had a lot of trouble with the police later on when he grew up, which it's not surprising, I guess, when you had that kind of childhood. So he was sentenced to 34 months in prison for supplying cocaine. He also received a police caution for causing GBH to a stranger on the street. So he punched someone, pretty much. And that just shows you that he have a lot of issues.
Yeah, definitely. Compared to Tia, having a lovely childhood, he obviously didn't. I guess maybe he was looking for a father figure, as his father was always in prison, and he just became violent and wants to do his life his own way by dealing drugs, and maybe he just thought, oh yeah, that's gonna be a better solution for him. But yeah, punching someone on the streets, Jesus Christ, that's scary. Because you just never know. You can just walk casually past and someone just gonna go there and hit you in the face.
Yeah, it's so weird. He was also sentenced to a year in prison for possession of machete.
That's even worse. Jesus, really?
Yeah. It's like, what a thing to have. Do you know what I mean? It's like, maybe some people do just have it like a decoration on their wall or something, but you
I don't think it's even legal to have machetes, because they became very popular. I don't know if you remember, in Telford there used to be like an angel made out of all the knives and machetes and everything. It was some sort of like an art shown how much stuff police has collected within years. So I don't think this is even legal to have machete in England.
I haven't looked into it, but I guess it's something that you can get sentenced for.
Oh, definitely.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. That is crazy.
So yeah, Christine knew about that. He had issues with the police. She knew about his drug use. She knew about his drinking problems and stuff. But she loved him and she trusted him. He never showed any bad side of him to her. So that just shows you that you can trust the completely wrong person.
Oh, definitely. Like you said at the beginning, he lured her in. He did whatever she wanted to have in a guy, you know. Regardless of his past, people can change, right? He didn't really do such a bad things in the past. He didn't kill anyone. So I guess she just believed in him, you know. He's such a great guy. He wants to make his life look better.
Yeah.
So, do you know what I mean? There is no I get it. I personally, if I would knew about someone else's past like that, I'd be just scared. But maybe it's because we talk about this shit every Sunday, and we know how people behaviors are like. You know, there is nothing wrong with choosing a guy like that, and
Yeah, and I guess, as I said, he pursued her. They
therefore,
had like a relationship, and I just think that some people believe in the good in people, and I also believe that people can change for the better.
yeah,
And I guess there's nothing wrong of giving someone a chance.
yeah,
And Stuart knew Tia since she was 2 years old, so even before they were in a relationship, like him and Christine, Tia grew to know him as her granddad. So they were such a knit-tight family. They just trusted each other.
Yeah,
He
that's
gained their
valid.
trust. He was nice. He was stand-up guy. He was there for their needs and everything.
Yeah, I just can't believe that he was only 37 years old though. When you told me about it and when we googled him, how he looked like, Jesus Christ, I would never tell he's 37 years old. You know, he looked very old. Obviously, he had a very bad past with drugs. Regardless of all of this, I bet Tia absolutely loved him, you know. He probably loved him as much as she loved her grandma.
She loved going there to her
Yeah.
grandma's house, and she loved spending time with him. Like, he was very attentive, I guess. He was listening to everything she had to say. And as you can imagine, when kids see older people, they either like them or they don't.
Yeah.
Kids are very honest, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it's like, when someone gains kids' trust, they would always have that trust.
Definitely.
Yeah?
This is crazy because you're saying obviously he was such a lovely guy towards her and the grandma and everyone around him. So what has happened? Why did he kill her?
So nobody knew about this. But Stuart had a very, very big obsession with a child pornography.
Oh my god.
And that is very disturbing because it was found later on his phone, the searches on his phone, the pictures, the videos, they just proved how deep of an obsession he had. So he was filming Tia. He was taking pictures of her. And it is so crazy to think that that person that she viewed as a granddad, as a family member, as someone that she could trust, was taking advantage of her, and nobody knew. Nobody knew about this. This included a voyeuristic photographs of Tia while she was sleeping.
Oh my god.
So he was taking pictures of her, he was filming her while she was sleeping. He had those things on his phone to watch, and as you can imagine, that obsession just grew and grew and grew. And later on, when Tia, she was 12 years old when the murder happened, so she was just becoming
A woman.
a young woman.
Yeah.
It's crazy that he knew her since she was 2, and he still grew that obsession, even though, like, it's your granddaughter, maybe not by blood, but it is your granddaughter.
Of course, especially from a very young
She
age.
calls you a granddad.
Yes, exactly.
It is unbelievable.
This is disgusting. This is disgusting, seriously. It frustrates me already.
And he used that trust. He wanted her to view him as a family member, as a granddad, as person of trust. He groomed her to trust him. So she would never even imagine that what happened could have happened.
Yeah.
And Christine, Natalie also, they had no clue. And it's so crazy that you could never know what is in someone's head.
Yeah, this is creepy, this is.
It is so scary. I just couldn't believe it. And when I read about it, I was like, surely someone would have noticed something about it. But no, nobody had a clue that he was living that completely different life. He was obviously sick in the head. So yes, Tia spent a lot of alone time with him. And she had no clue that he was secretly filming her and fantasizing and all that.
That's so sad. Especially like you said, when it just boils my blood when you said that he wanted her to see him as her grandfather, father figure, I guess. Not in a way of flirting with her, but just get that trust as a family member.
Yes.
And yet still recording her while she was asleep. Did he record himself also doing it?
He did, yeah.
He did.
He did
Jesus.
record himself, because I watched the documentary and they kind of used the actors
Yeah.
to show you. So it was kind of like he was filming her while he was sleeping, and then like filming himself, like his shadow towards it. It is so creepy, man. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And he just wanted her to trust him with everything.
Yeah.
So he wanted to spend as much time alone with her. And he knew that wouldn't be possible if he would look like a creep.
Yes,
or talk
of
like a
course.
creep or whatever. Probably Christine would notice.
Mm-hmm.
And he made everything. I feel like he was so calculated.
Oh, yeah.
He knew that's the only way that he can get what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And he executed it like, as I said, nobody had a clue.
He was hiding it so well. Well, there is, we're hearing stories about people like that you living with someone for so many years, but yet you don't know who that person is and what those people do. So you've got certain people that they just can keep that secret for so long. Shit like that would eat me inside.
I know.
This is wrong. Like, being a pedophile is the worst thing ever. I know you've been born with it, but you've got institutions, you've got help they can go and seek. And no one will ever tell me that this is a normal thing.
I think as an adult, especially, you know what's right and what's wrong.
Therefore.
So even if you have those urges, you definitely know it's wrong.
Exactly.
You definitely realize that you have a problem. So to me, to choose to go this far instead of seeking help, if he truly loved Tia, her grandmother, also, he would seek help.
Of course.
But he chose to do what he did.
Exactly. He wanted to have a better life, right? And she gave him a better life. He had a place to stay, he had a lovely family that, looked after him. This is the question that I will regret, but you need to unpack everything step by step. So do you have any information of how he did it? How did he kill Tia?
What I know is when the fourth search occurred of the house, they found her body. So I'm mentioning the fourth search because we'll talk about that later as well. But when they found her body, it was so badly decomposed that it was impossible to even tell that was Tia. So they had to find out her identity by dental records. It was that bad. They didn't even let her mom see her for a last time, which is so just heartbreaking.
It is, yeah.
And even though they couldn't tell for sure, from what I've gathered, the forensic evidence later on in trial could paint a quite clear picture what most likely happened. So the forensic pathologist said that the most likely cause of death was suffocation or chest compression. And even though it was very hard to prove that it was sexually motivated murder, later on Hazel's semen and Tia's blood was found on the bedding in the house. Police also found a sex toy that Hazel used, and it was found next to the drawer or somewhere around, and it contained Tia's and Hazel's DNA.
Oh my god.
So even though it was very hard to prove that it was sexually driven murder, the judge concluded that the murder involved sexual conduct. Perhaps the most chilling part of the murder was the trophy that Hazel took on his phone. It was later on found that he took a picture of Tia's dead body. That picture was very disturbing. I don't even really want to talk about it, but you can Google it, you can have a look, but it was very sexual picture. Even investigators later said that they couldn't sleep for days and days after, maybe even longer. It's just crazy that he took a thrill out of the whole thing that he did. And on that picture, they identified mottling on the skin, which can only happen once your heart has stopped and your blood has started settling in the body.
This is fucked up. I just can't believe it. He took a picture, a sexual picture, when she passed away. Like, what you've got in your mind to get yourself to that point to still do a picture, his trophy, like you said, of a 12 years old girl, a kid.
I know, it's
Oh
crazy.
my god, this is just ridiculous. This guy has no remorse whatsoever. Literally, he can die and rot in prison. Seriously, no, I've got no words for this guy. Seriously,
It is very bad. It is very bad. He was even taking pictures of himself in similar positions.
oh my god,
I'm not
that's
sure
even worse.
if that was before all this
Yeah.
happened or after, but doesn't
Doesn't
really
matter.
Yeah,
doesn't matter exactly.
And that proved pretty much that he murdered her, he stripped her naked, and he took that picture several hours later.
Oh my god.
After the assault, Hazel wrapped her body in some bed sheets and then in black bags. He taped it up and he shoved it in the loft.
Oh.
What they reckon happened is that he was trying to do sexual things with her. And they reckon because of Tia's personality, as I said, she was very outgoing, very feisty. Yeah. So she did tell him that was wrong, probably. And she might have told him that she's gonna tell her mom.
Yeah.
And that's when he decided to shut her up, allegedly. And I believe that could have been the case. I don't see any other reason.
No, of course.
Why he would have killed her.
He got scared, obviously, and he thought the only way out of it is just to kill her. Because he had this great life. You know, he's not gonna go away from that house. He gonna lose everything, he? So he just probably decided, right, this is the best option for me.
Yeah.
He probably panicked or whatever.
Yeah, and the way he played it afterwards, after she went missing, obviously.
Yeah.
He was the one going on the news and he was searching. He wore a t-shirt with her face on it.
What a dick, man.
It is crazy how fucked up this guy is. And I think in the documentary that I've watched, literally her mom, Tia's mom and her grandmother, they said they want to kill him.
I'm not surprised.
I want to do that as well.
Yeah.
It's just, I just couldn't believe how badly he broke their trust.
Yeah, and how stupid he is thinking that he will get away with it.
Yes.
I mean, if you think about it, what? Did he thought that this body can stay there forever? That people not gonna be able to smell it? Or
I'm not even sure what did he think.
Exactly, this is ridiculous, pretending for, it's gonna come out. You might as well just say it straight away because you're not getting away with it.
Or just like run away.
Yeah, anything. Not just pretending that there is, this poor girl is missing and wearing a t-shirt with her face on.
I think he was getting off on that. I think he thought he's the smartest guy.
Yeah, of course.
And I think he was reliving it kind of in a way. Because he could see her face everywhere and he was pretending to be worried and he was searching for her. And people got suspicious of him, but then he went and did an interview with ITV. And later on, they actually evaluated that interview.
Yeah.
And by that evaluation, you can tell that he was lying.
Really? Oh.
But maybe when you first watch it, you wouldn't know what to think. But when they present it to you, the professionals, obviously, and you can see it. You can see he's lying. Yeah.
Well, at the beginning, they were looking for a missing girl. There's family members going on the TV asking and seeking help. So I understand that part. But you've mentioned that police try to search for a body 4 times.
No, they didn't try. They searched it. They searched the house.
They searched the house 4 times.
Yes.
So how the fuck is possible to search the house 4 times and yet not find the body in the loft?
The failure to find Tia's body, even though it was in the house the entire time, is considered one of the most procedural blunders in the history of the Metropolitan Police.
Not surprised.
Even to think that it took 4 separate visits to discover this body, it's just unbelievable.
It is.
But the officer who went for the first search on August the 4th pretty much just stood up on a chair and had a look up there. And he later testified that he was searching for a missing girl and he didn't believe she was hiding there.
What you believe and what is happening and what's there in front of you is, irrelevant.
On August the 5th, though, there was another search by a professional team. They actually spent 25 minutes in that loft.
And still didn't find her.
No. So they were moving stuff around. However, they dismissed the several black bags because they were too light to contain a body. And Tia's body was obviously wrapped up, and I guess it was placed deep into the eaves. So I'm not sure if they didn't get that far, but in the end of the day, they didn't find her body.
Yeah.
The loft was described also as a very confided space. It was very chaotic inside, dark, very hot. All those reasons obviously made it very difficult to navigate inside that loft. And even though they brought a search dog, the dog actually alerted the officers that there was something. But the dog was quite large, so they couldn't actually lift it to investigate any further.
Oh my god, that is just fail after fail. It's so sad to see that the justice, the police, because we're talking about the cases, pretty much every case we covered, the police didn't do their job properly.
I know.
It's sad. I don't want to say that every country or the police officers are not doing their job properly. We feel protected by them regardless, but it's just so sad to see that we need to talk about it pretty much every time we're covering such a drastic cases. That it was just a police failure at the beginning of not finding the body being there for so long.
You would think that body would be found the same day, the first day that they did the search of the house. But I guess because of what Stuart said, that Tia went out, there was also a neighbor who said that he saw her going out, which is obviously not true, because she never went out of the house once. Stuart picked her up from the train station or whatever.
Yeah.
But why that neighbor said that, I don't know. But I feel like there was a lot of things that just didn't add up.
Yeah.
And that made it just such long time until the body was discovered. So the body was finally found on the fourth search, which was on 10th of August. And that was only after her grandmother, Christine, she actually noticed a strong smell coming out of the loft. As I said, the body was in such a bad condition that they couldn't even identify her. And it's summer, it's August, so that smell finally actually went out and finally they found her. But can you imagine if that case happened in the winter?
I know, yeah.
Was that body ever gonna be found? Because the more time you give this guy, he could have moved it.
Yes, exactly, of course.
It's just crazy.
I just can't wrap my head around that. It's just such a sad case, and I hope that Tia will get her justice by sending this fucker to jail for life. So I'm hoping you're bringing me good news while telling me about the trial.
The trial of Stuart Hazel, which took place in the Old Bailey in May of 2013, was a harrowing event that saw a sudden drastic shift as the prosecution case was reaching its peak. For 9 months leading up to the trial, Hazel maintained his innocence. He even sent letters to his father, and he was saying to his lawyers that the death of Tia was just an accident. Apparently, he said that she fell down the stairs and that's how she passed away.
Of course, yeah.
He then panicked because obviously his past, he thought he's gonna take the blame for it, and then he wrapped her body and he shoved it in the loft.
What a low life.
Obviously, the jury was presented all the evidence from the prosecution. It was very clear. They had all the digital footprints. They also had that DNA that they found on that sex toy, and also the sperm of Hazel, which was on the bed with the blood of Tia.
Yeah.
While Tia was missing, Hazel was also using the family computer to search on incest-related pornography.
Why she was missing?
Yes.
So yet he didn't... Oh my god.
So all those days in between her going missing to when they found the body, when he was obviously searching, wearing that t-shirt, going on the news, he was also doing this. It's very disturbing and it's very upsetting to me to even say, he did have no remorse whatsoever.
No.
He did what he did, and it's just horrible to think that someone is capable of it. But in the end of the day, there is monsters living just among us. On the 5th day of the trial, he finally changed his plea, and his defense team presented this as like he wanted to spare the family all the trauma and the agony that they went through. But the judge later on just put that to bed, because it was already, he put them through it already 5 days.
Of course.
They went through all that pain anyway, and he couldn't plead guilty earlier, so he waited 5 days.
Yeah.
And then when he saw obviously all the evidence was there, he knew there's no way out. And then he, like that, he decided to
This
plead
defense
guilty.
should just shut up, seriously.
Yeah, that's why I would never be able to be a lawyer, because I would be like, he's guilty.
Yeah.
Take him.
No, this is crazy.
I know.
I mean, come on. Clearly, as soon as he was caught, they knew, unless it's just fucking, well, he is very stupid man, but common sense, they're gonna search everything, they're gonna see the pictures, and they're gonna see your trophy picture. But no, she was thrown down the stairs, and I was just scared of you guys, so I decided to put it on the loft and hope for the best.
I believe he did think that he's gonna get away with it, or he might get a lighter sentence because of what he was saying to his lawyers and his father on those letters and whatever. I feel like when he saw, after so many days on the trial, all the evidence, and they obviously, maybe probably his lawyers told him there is no way out, so he pleaded guilty.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just, he put that family through hell.
Yeah.
Literally through hell. On May 14th of 2013, he was sentenced to life imprisonment with minimum of 38 years. So he would have to be at least 38 years in prison before he's even eligible for parole.
Yeah.
And I hope he never gets out. It was such a big sentence because of the charade that he did already. Like, he literally, as I said, he searched, he was on the news, and he was really pretending to be that grieving grandfather of that girl, which is even more devastating.
It is.
He was next to Christine and Natalie searching for her. And can you imagine how they felt? Like,
of course, yeah.
They thought he was there with them, and they were crying on his shoulder.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, you saw a picture of him wearing that t-shirt and his face, so you know that, oh yeah, he's an amazing grandfather who just wants to do the best for Tia and look for her, walk towards all those places that she might have been in. Oh, just cut this crap, man. Seriously. And then pretending for 5 days on a trial, thinking that, oh yeah, he gonna have a lighter sentence. I'm so glad that the prosecution, the trial, there were clever people there and did a right sentence. If I were the jury, I would probably not even give him the possibility of parole, and I really hope he will rot in prison and he will be abused by all the other people stuck in there, because as we know, pedophiles in prison are not treated lightly. So I really hope he will get a proper beat up and he will be fucked there for life. Seriously. Yeah. He doesn't deserve anything. He doesn't deserve even the possibility of parole.
I know that, and later on Tia's father, he did say that 38 years, it's not even close to be long enough for what he did, and I think he's right. And I don't know, I just think it's so freaking sad that he couldn't fucking control his urges, and that led to such tragedy for that family. I just hope they are okay. And I really think, because when the trial finished, when he was sentenced, people was shouting like, rot in hell. I think, like, if there was a chance for him to get out on bail or whatever, I think he might have been killed.
Yeah.
People were so fucking frustrated. And it's just a nightmare to imagine that this guy gained the trust of a whole family and then betrayed them in the worst way. And at the moment, he's serving his sentence in prison, and he would be approximately 75 years old before he's even eligible for parole, which I hope he dies in prison. I hope he rots there. He never gets out. He doesn't deserve to get out, even if he has the best behavior in prison.
No, of course
he
not.
deserves to just stay there. And to me, it's like there should be more life sentences without the possibility of parole, especially when children are involved.
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
I think it's just crazy. But yes, it is very heavy story again. I just find it so disturbing, especially all that creepy stuff that he was doing with this girl without nobody knowing. I just think it's so scary. I hope I didn't ruin your day, guys, with this story. But if you're really crime obsessed in a good way, like we are, you might have found it interesting. But in the end of the day, I want people to remember that 12 years old girl, which had a bright smile, she had a good life, good family, and her life was taken from her, from a monster. And if you did like our episode, please subscribe. We're here every Sunday, guys. We have an Instagram account, Facebook account, so go follow us there as well. We're gonna be here for you. And if Marta wants to say something.
If you've got any episodes that you wish for us to cover, please email us, message us. It's an open group on Facebook, also open Instagram, so you can always drop us a message. We will be very thankful, and it'd be nice to have another recommendation. So like Liana said, you're gonna see us every Sunday, so hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.